Hey you guys, I hope you can hear me on these little earbuds. So I was just out on a walk and super inspired to share this message. Here's the deal. My friend just had a baby girl within the last few hours. Today is actually Saturday when I'm recording this, and she had her baby at, oh gosh, like 6:50 a.m. on Saturday morning. So I found a beautiful picture of cherry blossoms on my walk. They're so pretty, pink, beautiful cherry blossoms, and they just inspired me to take a picture because this new baby girl was just born, and so, a new life, that kind of thing. And as I was taking the picture, I had this hit of like, wow, I have a message that is just like burning on my heart and mind right now about the idea of progress and whether or not our current women's healthcare system and current treatment of new moms is actually progress, or if we have gone severely backward. So let me just kind of expand on this here. I think that what's crazy is that my friend just had her baby a few hours ago. Again, it's Saturday morning right now. She had her baby at like 7 o'clock in the morning, essentially. And when I talked to her on the phone, I said, when are you going to go home? And she said she was probably going to go home Sunday morning, the next day, 24 hours later. And at first, my first response was like, oh, that's so great. Like, you don't have to be cooped up in the hospital. That's awesome. And I know that I also, when I was a new mom, I didn't want to be in the hospital for so long. I wanted to get out as soon as I could. So my initial thought was, that's great. And then I started thinking, though, like, this is, I think, what society has seen. I mean, there's financial reasons are the main reasons that people are getting sent home so early now, because it's expensive to keep a woman in the hospital. But I think it's also seen a bit as progress and kind of a mark of pride that, oh, we don't have to follow those old-fashioned rules anymore. Like, the old-fashioned rules that the doctors would tell women when they became pregnant was that they, needed to just stop exercising. Doctors and the healthcare system became very conservative toward their treatment of women. It's like, no, you can't do anything. You are in a delicate condition. You need to, stop moving. You can't exercise. When you have your baby, you need to be in the hospital for a week. We need to watch over you, that kind of thing. And we see that as very old-fashioned and paternal, like, the old guard, the healthcare system like that. And here's the deal. I don't think it's necessarily a good thing at all. I certainly don't think it's a good thing to tell women when they're pregnant that they should stop exercising. I don't think that is good. And I'm glad we've moved beyond that. But there is an element of this progress that has created this need and this acceptance of getting women in and out of the hospital so quickly that's damaging to women's health, to women's pelvic health. I just don't think we're spending enough time taking care of our new moms. If you think of what a mother has to go through between 9 months of carrying this child in their body and then giving birth, this is a process. This is a superhero process that women go through. They birth a human being out of their body. This is a huge deal. When they have a cesarean section, of course, they're kept in the hospital longer, but even so, it's a significant surgery. So why are we kicking women out of the hospital so early? Why is it becoming accepted in the new normal that you should want to go out of the hospital that early? Because here's the deal. If we're in the hospital, yes, it's boring. Yes, we're kind of stuck there. But we have a team of healthcare providers who are able to take care of us and do a little bit, at least for the baby. And we're not doing all the things that come along with going home. Because granted, if we were going home to a supportive environment where the family is gathered around and everyone is there to pitch in and you are resting, you're taking that time to rest and take care of yourself, then that's different. But for the reality of most of us, that's not what we're going home to. When we're home, the call of, oh, I've got to get back to the laundry. Like, I've got to do the laundry. Oh, there's dishes to be done. And maybe someone's stepping up to help, but maybe they're not helping the way they want to. I was up doing way too much, way too early. Within a few days of giving birth, I baked 2 pies from scratch, like peeling the apple. I don't know, I was just in this mood, and it's actually a lot of work to bake pies. I'm rolling out the dough, like doing all the things from scratch, baking 2 pies, and I remember I was so overdone. I didn't know that would wipe me out so much. But between that and just, like, again, I did have support. My husband is so helpful, but when you're home, and when you're not stuck in a boring hospital, or you're not at home being completely waited on hand and foot by people, which, let's face it, that's not the reality for most people. When you are kind of back home, back on your own, there are so many things competing for your attention and your time, and it's so easy just to overdo too quickly. And I think that's one reason we are getting so many pelvic health concerns. So prolapse, bladder leakage, core health conditions, diastasis recti, that's lasting long after the normal healing piece of recovery should take, because again, a lot of this stuff does heal naturally. A lot of people will experience spontaneous reduction in symptoms of pelvic organ prolapse or spontaneous healing of their diastasis recti. That will happen naturally, but not if we push ourselves too fast too soon. Not if we push ourselves too fast too soon. I want to say that again. This is the thing. And so you might think, well, what about those women who were out in the fields, these women of old fables that we hear about, who were out in the fields and they gave birth and then they strap the baby onto their back and they just start working again? Well, here's the deal. If that's even a true scenario, which it probably is. Again, I'm not a historian. But those women have prepared by having a life of hard labor. Those women have prepared their bodies by having a life where they were working in the fields. Our lives have not prepared us to go. Our lives are basically sedentary. Our lives are cush, you guys. Not everyone, none of this is for everyone, but it's likely that if you're watching this today, you have a fairly easy life, physically easy, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, probably not so easy, but physically, your life is probably pretty easy. And carrying and giving birth to a baby is definitely emotional, spiritual, mental as well, but it's largely a very physical process. This is a physical thing. This is a muscular, skeletal, physical thing, and my goodness, we are not prepared for it. So it's good. Progress is good that we're now allowing women and encouraging women who are pregnant to go out and exercise and not consider themselves a delicate flower that needs to just lay in bed for the entire 9 months of their pregnancy. But I think it's not progress that we are, I don't want to say kicking people out, but in some cases kicking people out of the hospital after 24 hours after giving birth vaginally. I don't think that's progress. And I don't think it's progress that we're not sending women home from the hospital with no information about their pelvic health and their pelvic, their core health after giving birth, and what to look for and what could go wrong and what the natural course of healing is and when to seek help and to seek extra attention for something like pelvic organ prolapse. Where they can go, where they can get help, if there's a women's health physical therapist in their area, how to do a Kegel exercise properly, how to relax completely after contraction, and also how to know if maybe Kegel exercises are not right for you. There's a whole wide world of information that is just starting to grow. It is growing. I am excited that more and more people are talking about pelvic health, and they're talking about it smartly, and I'm learning so much, and I'm changing all the time in what I'm sharing. The information on my YouTube channel that you might find from 9 years ago or 8 years ago when I started it and just randomly put up really awful videos. The information out there, it's still good information. At the same time, it's changing. The information I'm learning is evolving. Things are evolving slowly. It's growing. Everything is growing and growing. It's exciting because people are starting to get this. We're starting to talk about it. And as long as we keep learning, this is great. Change is happening in the right direction, and it is happening. But again, I think that it's slow. It's like everything in the medical system, it's like it has to catch up to those of us who are, I feel, more on the cutting edge of trying to really be proactive with the approach of women's healthcare. I like to say and like to think that I am more on the proactive and cutting edge version of this taking charge of your own health. And I think the medical system is not there yet. It's like they're years behind. It's like they were catching up. They were saying, no, I don't want to be old-fashioned anymore. And so we're going to tell women that they don't have to stay in the hospital. And also we want to save money, right? But that's not doing any good either, especially if you're not sending women home with support. Because a woman probably doesn't have the family and elder support of her parents or her, grandparents or the community around her. Other women in the community, other men in the community, they're working, they're busy. The woman's husband, he's got to go to work. In the U.S. healthcare system, the husband doesn't necessarily get time off work. The woman herself gets barely any time off work to have a baby. She gets thrown back into action with no education and no information as to how to ease her body back into this life from this very physical process that she's just been through. So I don't think this is progress, what's going on right now. I don't think it's progress. I think it is what's contributing to the rapid increase that we're seeing in pelvic organ prolapse. This diagnosis is increasing significantly. And I just think it's because we live largely sedentary lifestyles. Then we go through this process of having a baby, which is a natural process. We've been doing it since the dawn of human time. But we are not being cared for and supported like we should be. We're jumping back into life way too quickly, and we don't have the education that we now need because we've lived a cush, sedentary, physically fairly inactive life up until having this baby, and then all of a sudden, we're supposed to get back into everything without having conditioned ourselves. Like I said, those women who strapped their babies back onto their chests and kept working in the fields, if that is truly the way it worked, hundreds of years ago, and maybe still works in some cultures today, these women are likely extremely physically conditioned because they've spent years doing that exact thing. So before having the baby. So anyway, this is just my thoughts for the day. I am so happy that my friend had a healthy, beautiful baby girl. But I do think that it really spoke to me that there are some changes that need to be made. It's not progress what's happening right now. All right? That's my thought. But you know what? To not leave it on a negative note. Here's the thing. I don't like to leave things on a negative note. I'm all about spreading hope and light and love. So the way to make a change is to, if you have a friend who's just had a baby, see how you can support her. Let's see how we can gather and create community around this and encourage her to not get back up on her feet, to spend the first, long period of time taking care of herself more, to prioritize that, and also spreading the information about pelvic health, core-friendly fitness, taking care of your body, doing core exercises correctly, all of this kind of stuff, okay? That's how we can do it, is spreading the message. You don't have to be a doctor to spread that message. Ladies, you can do this just as a friend or a family member, okay? All right, you guys, I will talk to y'all later. Bye.